Hello, my name is Alicia Shapiro with AiNews.com, and welcome to another episode of our Driving Tomorrow Conversations with Industry Leaders, where we explore the latest developments and newest innovations in the world of artificial intelligence. Today, I'm excited to be speaking with Karan Talati, CEO and co founder of First Resonance, a company that's transforming how the world builds complex hardware, from rockets to robots to nuclear microreactors. With experience at SpaceX and a deep passion for using data to solve real problems, Karan and his team have built the Ion FactoryOS, a next generation manufacturing platform already trusted by companies today. Karan joins us following the launch of Ion Intelligence, the first Resonance's groundbreaking agentic AI solution that brings real time decision making to the factory floor. Paired with a fully reimagined Ion experience and a powerful new partner ecosystem through the Ion marketplace, this launch marks a major step towards smarter, more resilient, and US based manufacturing. In today's conversation, we'll explore how agentic manufacturing is reshaping high stakes industries like aerospace and medical devices, and what sets First Resonance apart in a crowded field, and how AI powered workflows are giving manufacturers new superpowers. I appreciate you joining us today, Karan.
Thanks, Alicia. It's great to talk to you. I'm really excited to talk about Ion Intelligence and dive in deep with the world of AI.
So let's start with the big news. You just launched the new Ion Factory OS and Ion Intelligence, which is huge, by the way. So congratulations on that. But for those who may not be familiar, what exactly is Ion Factory OS and how does the new Ion Intelligence layer fit into it? And from your perspective, what makes this launch such a significant leap forward for modern manufacturing?
Yeah. So we're really excited about this. For the last 5 years, we've had the Ion Factory OS deployed out into the field. This launch brings a completely new experience. So we rebuilt the application from the ground up, taking in all the learnings of the last 5 years of the Ion Factory OS, being out at now nearly 60 manufacturers that are building quality critical applications in aerospace, energy, robotics. We have companies that have built satellites that are in space, on orbit. We have companies that are building new types of micronuclear reactors and going out for certification in the coming years. Really exciting stuff. So we've taken all those learnings and we've reflowed the application to bring the best in class UX, the best in class performance, taking all those learnings. So that's really the core of what the Factory OS is. It's a workflow that is specifically tailored for manufacturers to help them get the work in their factories done day to day. Things like effective work instruction management, scheduling and routing, assignments, quality control, and supply chain management. It's a pretty wide footprint, actually.
Yeah.
Factories are pretty complex environments, and you really have to have the right people, processes, and parts at the right time to come together to turn a lot of metal that comes in one side of the factory into an airplane on the other side. And that's what the Ion Factory OS helps manufacturers do. What we're really excited about with Ion Intelligence, which is a whole new product that builds on the Factory OS, is that we are bringing AI workflows and specifically agentic workflows to manufacturing through the same experience that manufacturers are already used to in the Ion Factory OS. We built it in a way that Ion Intelligence works very seamlessly with the Ion Factory OS. And that is going to continue to evolve over time. We're going to make it more and more ingrained in the traditional workflow, but we found that it was actually very important to launch something completely new and start introducing it in the same UX, this especially in industries like manufacturing. They're not necessarily going to be the first people that leap forward and embrace AI and agentic workflows out of the gate, right? It's a quality critical environment, a mission critical environment where these decisions are high stakes. So we're making it easier, more recognizable, but we're giving them the superpowers of what AI has to offer through Ion Intelligence.
Yeah. And I imagine with the agentic manufacturing aspect of it through Ion Intelligence, it's just going to be more seamless workflow that's smarter and can do things more on its own.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think what's really exciting is, interestingly enough, manufacturing it's a big industry that has a lot of, let's call it tradition. They're very stuck in their ways, and the systems that are used to drive day-to-day operations are quite clunky. sometimes very manual. So what you just mentioned there, Alicia, yes, this makes it a lot more efficient and workable. But I think what's really interesting is that in the world of hardware, people have this view of the Iron Man suit, right? And Jarvis. And really, when we started First Resonance about five years ago, this is exactly the kind of view that we had for the future of manufacturing. Having come from the manufacturing world, many of us here at First Resonance were at SpaceX in particular. Even then, we were left with a lot to be desired on how we could work better, how we should be interacting with the factory floor to build amazing products like rockets, right? And so with Ion Intelligence, it really it's more than just efficiency or productivity. It's a much more natural way to interact with this huge physical world operation, to be able to talk to your factory, get information about what's going on out on the factory floor much faster, and make that all a lot more seamless. And I think that's really the power of LLMs. And what it's done is the interface is really, it's just English, right? And that's something that everyone in the world can share in common, including manufacturers. It's a very seamless way to introduce these really powerful technologies into modern factories.
It's an upgrade from the traditional process in factories, I imagine.
Yes. Oh, very much a huge upgrade. And I think traditional factories, and even I would say even sophisticated factories, and maybe even especially sophisticated factories, because they are so sophisticated, the amount of controls and the number of buttons that you need to push in order to get something done, it actually makes the process so clunky that the process starts to look archaic, right? Now with AI, we can turn that back upside down, where interactions are a lot more natural. For people building products in the physical world, they can interact with the agentic workflows and the AI in, again, just natural language. And over time, we're going to be introducing more and more voice actions, and particularly persistent voice, especially relevant in the factory. You're moving around, you're welding things, you're soldering things, you're mounting things. Why have to go back to a computer to log every single action, right? Why
Right.
not just have that persistent layer helping you understand how to do your job, give you more recent information about how to do it better or learn from it, and then record all that information without having to type it all in.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that kind of brings me to my next question. How are manufacturers using Ion Intelligence today to make those faster and smarter decisions on the factory floor? And do you have an example of how these agents have helped navigate the complexity or reduce friction in the production process?
Yeah, we will have many more case studies here in the coming months. Last week, we just announced and are just getting set to launch Ion Intelligence to our first batch of customers.
Okay.
Now, the great thing is, because the Ion FactoryOS, our product, has been live in production for over 5 years, Ion Intelligence are the first people who are going to be able to experience this huge leap forward are our existing customers.
That's
So we're
awesome.
early on getting exact field data points. However, from the development and testing that we've done internally, the use cases are just huge. And keep in mind, again, we are manufacturers. So our team has come from companies like SpaceX, like Boeing, like NASA, like Toyota. And so we are basically our own customer. What we've been able to do is think about things like, wow, what if I had this 10 years ago when I was triaging this engine controller failure? The way I used to do it before, to give you an example, is an issue would happen in the manufacturing process. I would firstly gather as much information about that one issue as possible, record all this data in manually. There's a whole bunch of forms to even get this stuff in, because you're in such a highly regulated industry like aerospace. So I do that. Then I would look around and try to see, have we seen something like this in the past? And then I'd spend another probably half a day just gathering that information. Then I would go up to source documents, right? And I'd spend probably the rest of the week, frankly, looking at these source documents, open source like NASA specs and other kind of regulations, quality things. And at best, maybe I've read some of it, and then I'm bringing in an opinion on how we should handle this at the end of the process. And that, like I was alluding to, used to take days and weeks.
Yeah.
What we're able to do with AI, and especially with the modern progression of using RAG and using Model Context Provider, MCP, we're able to surface all that data to the person who's triaging an issue within minutes.
Wow.
So it really just comes down to time. And you save people time, especially in manufacturing. We have a lot of work to do in manufacturing. There are new materials that we have yet to discover. We have to achieve like net positive energy from fusion reactors, right? There's a lot of work that we have to do. And a lot of time today in manufacturing is spent just gathering information, trying to associate it, and then making these ad hoc decisions and then repeating it.
Yeah.
Ion Intelligence allows everyone to change that. It would have changed our jobs in a drastic way when we were doing this manufacturing live 5, 10 years ago.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I can't even imagine how much simpler that process is now.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's quite amazing. And it's all just become available at our fingertips recently. It's all moving very quickly with AI and beyond just AI, even just in 2025, some of these techniques like MCP have now standardized for us to leverage and do these iterations much more rapidly as the solution provider, but also with a lot more reliability that the industry is standardizing on these protocols. And so we get to innovate on top of them and get them out to our customers.
I love that. Many of our viewers are closely watching the push to bring more manufacturing back to the United States, especially in the high stakes industries like aerospace, energy, and medical devices. How do you see platforms like Ion helping companies move faster and stay more competitive and actually make domestic production a reality? And from
Mhm.
your perspective, how long do you think this shift will actually take? Is it going to be a near term opportunity or more of a long game?
Yeah, so let's start with the latter there. Very much, we believe that this is going to be a long-term thing and a long game. The good news is that this is such a high-value industry. Manufacturing nets trillions of dollars of GDP for the United States, let alone globally. So
Right.
even just moving the needle by a percent a year, we're talking about billions of dollars of value that
Wow.
we're shifting over. And really, what's important about the shift is we're making it more efficient, we're making it more productive, and we're allowing for more innovation. So, why onshoring at all? We think about it a lot in the form of onshoring allows for a lot more of a sustainable manufacturing environment where you're not simply sending product specs over to a country or factories to produce and then ship all that back on boats. It's very unsustainable
Yeah.
just from an environmental perspective. By bringing things closer, you are really moving the needle on just the transportation costs alone, let alone the cost savings and the innovation. Now, this is the long game, but like I said, each percentage point matters. And we believe that these digital systems, notably digital systems like the Ion FactoryOS, are absolutely instrumental to making the shift happen.
Yeah.
I would go so far as to say it's impossible without it. If you look at the history of globalization and onshoring, that it has an inverse relationship with the cost of manufacturing and the workforce development. It is likely impossible to bring up the industrial base that we need in the United States or even in a friendshoring capacity or nearshore capacity to produce everything that we need to maintain and obviously innovate on our lives today without digital technologies, right? We can't just spin that workforce up. We need the technology. And we believe AI is a big part of this because of this aspect of the digital systems and what it takes to even administer them. By applying AI, we believe that we're taking a step function or a leap forward in powering these factories digitally and making it possible for factories to move a lot more flexibly and making the business model sustainable to be able to produce at scale. Now, a lot of pieces have to go right, but we believe that this is a big piece of it, is just get people the information they need, the connectivity to
Mhm.
be able to connect more automated systems in, and make that as great as what the DevOps kind of movement has done for software engineering in the last 10, 15, 20 years. Let's do that for the physical world. Let's do that for manufacturing. And that's what Ion does.
That's awesome. I love that. And Ion Marketplace, it feels like a quiet power move here. You're not just building software, you're connecting an entire ecosystem. Can you walk us through what the Ion Marketplace actually is and what kind of tools or partners it connects to, and why it was such an important piece to launch with this plug and play model alongside the Factory OS, especially when it comes to helping your customers scale?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Ion Marketplace, we were so excited about this summer's launches with the new Ion experience with Ion Intelligence that sometimes Ion Marketplace goes by the wayside, but it is very important. Ion Marketplace, what it does is it puts all of our partner integrations and solution providers in one place at marketplace.firstresonance.io, giving our customers and prospective customers the ability to understand how they really should be thinking about building their entire factory stack. So gone are the days of one system that does everything for a business, right? Like large ERP systems or large data centers. We live in a world where the concert of tools working together is much more powerful, and you get a lot more flexibility and you get a lot more productivity out of that. We believe we're beneficiaries of that in the digital world and how we build our product using a cloud provider or multiple, using different incident management tools or scaling architectures or just collaboration platforms or design platforms, and elegantly bringing all that together. We saw a huge gap in the manufacturing world for there to be a one-stop shop to understand what the best-in-class factory tech stack looks like. So we put all that in one place at marketplace.firstresonance.io. And to address what you'd asked about, why is that useful and important sitting alongside the huge power of the Ion FactoryOS and Ion Intelligence, is that we would like to make manufacturing more technical, more digital, and we'd like to really work with, and we have been working with, it's really exciting, other people that are going after the same kind of vision of a much more digital, sustainable, and innovative manufacturing ecosystem. And so we do believe that this is very compatible with the Ion FactoryOS. Is that one of the design principles actually in the Ion FactoryOS is to be connectable by default. So we have an open API. Every transaction is available through the API. Our customers today have been building apps on top of the platform to power their individual business needs. And our partners in kind of product categories like PLM, product lifecycle management, or ERP, or modern supply chain management tools or quality analysis tools, have been building integrations, have been building apps on top of the platform to get all this stuff connected. And we think the future is bright as a function of that. Better together, right? Yeah. With all boats rising. And so while we've just gotten all of our partners and partner solution providers in one place, we think this is just the beginning of a flywheel of this new digital ecosystem for what a modern factory looks like.
Nice. I'm excited now. I want to see what the new manufactured places look like with
Yeah. Me too. Me too. I think coming from this world, we all think that like walking into a very modern factory could look like a whole bunch of people flying around in Iron Man suits, and they have holograms up and using AR to understand what the problems are on the factory floor. The truth is so far from that. It's still so manual, and it really just comes down to this effective ability to collaborate better and to surface information. So I think we're at the cusp of really just huge shift in the industry and a big leap forward.
It's exciting. And you talked about how First Resonance is enabling a factory that thinks for itself. How do you strike that balance between autonomy and control in these highly regulated, high stakes manufacturing environments?
Oh, yeah. That is absolutely a fantastic question, because look, this, even pre-AI, this has been something that we have taken very seriously from the get-go. And we've always said augmentation before automation. And the reason we say that is we've learned the hard lessons of what it looks like and what the results could be if you over automate. In fact, Elon Musk has talked a little bit, probably not as much as could be talked about what the cost of over automation could be and what he observed at Tesla. And what it comes down to is, because of the physical nature of all this, automation, one, is very expensive. And so people get in these like sunk cost fallacy paradigms where they invest heavily into robotics and these like automated conveyor systems. And all it takes is one thing to go wrong, and the entire manufacturing line comes to a halt. One of the things that humans are good at is handling surprises, in fact. And we're quite malleable, we're quite adaptable, right, to the world around us. And, you know, that malleability is very important in manufacturing. And so for this reason, we've always taken very seriously that over automation comes at a big cost. And what we can do best is actually help our customers augment their decision making and accelerate their decision making, but not end-to-end automate it. And I think this is a very important viewpoint, especially in the context of AI today, right? So even outside of manufacturing, one of the biggest challenges of getting AI systems out into production is the lack of predictability and the non-deterministic nature of AI. And of course, the costs of hallucination and things like that. The way we view it is this is not a zero-sum thing. You shouldn't necessarily be in a fully automated, fully validated, fully safe, fully perfect world, mostly because no such thing exists.
Yeah.
There's always some cracks in the system. There's always some change that will lead to volatility and dynamism.
Yeah.
Nor should we just turn the agents on, press go, and walk away because of the lack of predictability. And even in software development, people are taking that very seriously and being careful about AI systems that go out of bounds of the expectation. And now people are putting in the right guardrails. And those guardrail systems are just coming up. We're just in the early days of getting in guardrail orchestration and observability into these AI systems. So this is all the more true in manufacturing. The last thing I'll say on this, at least for now, is the approach that we take is we're going to introduce to manufacturers what the power of AI is, but fully give them the control of when to use it and how to use it, and also use these emergent paradigms around temperature and some of these other things that are built into LLM and prompt engineering practices for allowing them to decide when the autonomous decision making should go to production and what their auditability should be and exactly how many times in a given loop they want to give the final decision versus the agentic system to take the decision for itself. So I think that UX is very important, and giving the knob to the customer is going to be how in the next 6, 12, and 72 months, we're able to help manufacturers make more and more automated decisions over time, but by slowly building up trust in these systems and giving them the controls around how to bring that vision to reality.
That's such a fantastic perspective. I love that because I would think by doing that in a slow basis, first of all, you're not overwhelming the client with, oh, I got to do everything all at once right now. You're introducing a little bit as a time, you're giving them the control. I would think that they would feel more comfortable adopting it and using your AI Ion intelligence to help them because they know they can do it in stages and they don't have to get overwhelmed with everything all at once.
Definitely, definitely. Yes, that's exactly right. And I think, again, very important in building trust with manufacturers. At the end of the day, we're learning very rapidly about AI every day here at First Resonance.
Yeah.
So by deploying this technology in, we also need to come at it with the humility and understanding that the entire industry is rapidly developing and rapidly learning about how these systems work. So we need to go the extra mile in giving the end customer the control and build the trust so that we don't make a misstep here and lose all of that trust and the value that we have to offer.
And if you're a hard tech startup or maybe you're an established manufacturer and you're wanting to stay competitive, what should you be thinking about right now to prepare for this next era of AI driven production? And what kind of capabilities do you think will become standard and what still needs to be figured out before this approach becomes the norm?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Alicia, you and I were talking about this before we jumped on this conversation. But I think first and foremost is one, everybody should be thinking about this is all changing day over day, and just even dialing it to week over week, knowing that it's important to keep track of the latest trends in AI is a good starting place. And then offering some grace, having some patience for the industry to settle and standardize around key protocols that we could reliably build on top of is very important. Just as we figured out the standard threads on a screw and size of fasteners and things like that in the hardware world, and as a society figured out like things like USB-C to standardize around, this is all very emergent in AI, but it is rapidly converging. Things like and protocols like MCP, like I was mentioning earlier, are great indicators for that. One, change is happening very quickly, and standardization is also happening. The entire platform is becoming more reliable. So that would be the one thing. Another thing I would say is manufacturers shouldn't look for a silver bullet. There is no application yet where an AI will come in and change drastically a given workflow overnight as big as the promise is, and as excited as we all are in technology and in society around the implications of AI, there really is no silver bullet operation that's just going to turn that operation upside down.
Yeah.
What I would say as a guiding piece of advice is look for those opportunities to start testing and to become that AI driven manufacturer that's going to get the edge. By testing early, testing often, and having patience with the AI, you're going to get your workforce used to and comfortable with and become leaders in this huge tidal wave that is inevitable. Whether it's going to happen in the next few weeks, months, or years, we don't know, but we could definitely say with a lot of confidence that 5 years from now, all of how we work in society at large and how factories operate is going to look drastically different. And it's going to be fueled by the leaders that embrace this change and learned about how these systems work, deployed them, measured them, and controlled their deployment into production environments. Everybody else that doesn't embrace it is going to get lost in the dust and left behind. So I would say those would be a few things to very much think about and take seriously, because this wave is definitely here.
Yeah, that's great advice. And before we wrap up, I always love to ask, when you do step away from your work, what are some activities or hobbies you're passionate about?
Oh, yeah, that's fun. I actually just ran my first triathlon earlier this year. It was
Oh,
just a sprint, newbie over here for all the triathletes that are listening.
wow.
I got a little bit to work up to the Fuller Olympics and maybe one day an Ironman. We'll
Mm,
see about that, but it was a blast to have that multimodal experience and sharpen each one of those skills. So that was a lot of fun and a good release from the fast moving cycles of technology that we're in day over day. That's where I like to spend most of my time. So when I'm not running and keeping up with that, I'm running a triathlon.
nice. I love that. Thank you so much for joining us, Karan. Your insights with the agentic manufacturing and the vision behind Ion Intelligence and the new Factory OS are just so exciting and deeply impactful to this industry. And I know our audience is going to come away with a clearer picture of now where manufacturing is headed and how AI is going to help shape that faster, smarter, more resilient future. So I appreciate you joining us.
Amazing. Thank you for having me, Alicia. This has been a really fun conversation.
Oh, yeah, I think so too. And for those of you interested in learning more about First Resonance or seeing ION in action, head over to firstresonance.io to explore the platform and request a demo. Keeping you connected to tomorrow, today, this is Alicia with AiNews.com.